Hi there, I'm Stacy, the mixed media encaustic artist behind Studio Stacy. If you are new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Good morning. Week 8 of painting 100 painting days through your view. And I've got a blank panel here. So yeah, let's start this painting. All right, so I'm just sketching out this picture onto this panel with a Durant Inktense pencil and a ruler, and I'm just kind of trying to make sure I have similar measurements and a similar perspective as the picture before I really start to put a bunch of color down and start to apply the wax. If you aren't familiar with the photo project I'm doing, I am painting photos that my newsletter subscribers send me. And this week's photo has a little bit of a special meaning to it. My dad actually took this photo, and I think my sister and I both think that he should be a professional photographer. He is not, but he takes some outstanding photos. And so I'm a little bit nervous about painting this week's photo because I don't want to mess it up. At any rate, I am applying several layers of clear encaustic medium to this painting before I start to apply the encaustic paint. Good morning. I am in the studio and just going to start working on the painting that I've been working on, and I need to first pick out some paint color, so I'm going to do that. I use these paint stick swatches here to pick out my colors. I am interrupting this painting video because I just realized that you might want to see how I make my paint chips. So I'm going to insert that in here now, and then we'll get back to the painting. All right, so this is my painting cart here. And on my painting cart, I have these chips, paint chips, if you will. And they're all labeled with the colors on them on the front and labeled on the back. I make the paint swatches out of just some wood scribe molding that we get at our local home improvement store. And I chop these up into pieces. It comes in like 8-foot sections. So I chop them up into pieces, and then I drill some holes in them so that they're all nice and uniform. I paint them with some encaustic gesso so that they are primed and ready for the encaustic paint whenever I get new paint. When I get new paint, I take the paint swatches here and I just apply some clear encaustic medium to them, and I melt the new paint on the griddle and then just simply apply it to the paint swatch. And I have a brand new paint swatch. So you might be wondering why I make the paint swatch sticks and not just look at the paint color, and this is why. The paint color actually is totally different color than what it comes out like on the paint stick. And so when you're picking out colors, you want to have an accurate idea of what the color is going to come out on like your painting. So this is where my painting workstation is here with the torch and the griddles and where I work on paintings, obviously. And then my painting cart sits right over here that has those chips on it, those paint chip samples. And then underneath here in these cigar boxes that are all labeled is where I keep the encaustic paint. So that is kind of my painting setup and explaining the paint chips and the encaustic paint storage a bit. And now getting back to the painting, I'm just adding in the sky area with the encaustic paint, of course, fusing between each layers and scraping back if I cover up too much stuff. So I'll just let you sit back and watch the rest of this painting day. Good morning. Starting another painting day today, and I'm just going to be adding some details in to the mountain area. I blocked in all that color yesterday, which you saw me do. So today I'm going to go in with a smaller brush and add in some details, and then probably do a little bit of the forest area on this painting. And then I'm not sure if I'll get to the water area or not, but we'll see how it goes. There are several ways that you can add details into encaustic paintings. I like to personally use a smaller tipped brush and then also mix in some of the Durant Inktense pencils. They just add a little extra touches and layers and small details. And then, of course, I fuse between each layer, and all of these layers add a lot of depth to each painting. So I'm going to move on to a different color here, and as you can see on that griddle, my paint palette is a bit of a mess. So I cleaned that off using this old sketchbook that I have, and I just pressed the pages down into the paint to get some paint on the pages and clean up the palette. And now that the palette is clean, I can start with a fresh clean palette and add in my blues for the water area. Spring is starting to arrive here in Northeast Ohio. And so I thought I would end the day with a hike at one of our local parks and take you guys along to show you the beautiful view. Good morning. I am up here in the studio again today, and I'll show you where I left off on this painting yesterday. Basically, I have the water to finish up and the flag, and then probably several more little details. But the wax is heating up, and I thought I would mess around in my sketchbook a little bit while the wax heats up. I know I've talked about this sketchbook before in a previous vlog, and I'll link that up here if you want to know a little bit more on it, but it's a Strathmore sketchbook, and I just use it just to mess around with, to experiment, to see what pens might work. I don't have any, like none of these are like really professionally done, artsy, finished pages. Like I'm never gonna probably make any of these pages into prints or anything like that. They're just for me to mess around, to kind of warm up while the wax is warming up, and to experiment with different types of pens and pencils over top of the wax to see what works. Getting back to this painting here, I am using some shellac and some graphite along with some dried pigment to color the shellac. And this technique, I did not make this technique up. I took a class from a wonderful artist, Alicia Torme, which I will link her information below in the description if you're interested. She's a fantastic teacher and has really perfected this shellac and wax technique. Basically, the gist of it is you use different flame levels or different heat levels, if you will, to kind of melt the shellac and wax together, and it produces these cells, and they're just beautiful on the wax. And so that's what I'm doing here in the water area of this painting. But if you want more information on it, definitely go check out the link in the description. She's, like I said, an outstanding teacher and has just really perfected this technique. Adding in a few final details to the water area, just going back and forth between scraping off layers, adding a bit more shellac in, some white paint and some blue paint, and just really, again, layering that paint and fusing between each layer with the torch. And right before I add in this flag, I just want to make sure everything else is perfect. And so I'll let you watch this process and pick you up in a few minutes. I do believe that this painting is done. Get you a couple close-ups here. And some texture on the water. Little glare there, sorry about that. So what do you guys think? Is it done? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for coming along on this painting adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and are so inclined, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a big thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed and would consider doing so, I would also really appreciate that. And if you are subscribed and aren't getting any notifications, if you hit that little bell down below, that will notify you every time I release a new video, which is usually on Tuesdays. So as always, thank you. And if you have any questions, any comments whatsoever about my process, encaustic painting, anything I can help you out with, the photo project I'm doing, using my newsletter subscribers' photos, any questions at all, definitely leave them down below in the comments. I'm happy to help out in any way that I can. We will see you next week, and bye for now.